Welcome to Mad About Money. I'm Maddie Alexander-Grout, and this is the podcast where we talk to interesting people all about their interesting money stories. I'm joined today by the lovely Paul Culshaw, who is a marketing expert. He helps people to get their marketing strategies sorted with AI and strategy and structure. Paul, it's lovely to have you here. Tell us a little bit about you.
Well, it's great to be here. Thanks so much, Maddie, for inviting me onto the podcast and for the introduction there. So, absolutely, I help predominantly coaches, female coaches, consultants, online business owners gain more clarity, first of all, with their marketing online. And then I help them through courses, programs, memberships as well, in terms of being able to grow online. And I use a lot of my experience as well. So I've worked in marketing for just over 25 years. I fell into marketing, to be honest, in the late 90s when internet marketing, as it was known, was a new thing. And then managed to gain a lot of experience working in agencies up here in Manchester. And then I think you get to a certain age, for some of us, where you're kind of done with the corporate world. And you feel, I kind of know enough now to perhaps be able to do this myself. So yeah, I kind of leaned into that vision for myself and created my own business. And as I say, yeah, I've been helping coaches, consultants, people who are generally confused with marketing, really good at what they do, really talented people, lovely people, but a little bit confused about how to actually grow their business online. So that's what I help with.
Amazing. And I said this before, we this is our second take of this podcast because we had some sound issues. And I said, I am very much a marketing person myself. I also fell into it. I did a lot of the marketing for my first business and found out that I was quite good at it. But I don't do marketing in the way that people should do marketing. I do marketing in a way that feels like authentic and ethical for me. And that's all about kind of showing up, sharing my story, and helping other people to share their soundtrack. So I love anybody who does marketing, and I feel like there is so much that people can learn from people who know what they're talking about. So it's lovely to have you on today.
Thanks so much.
I'm going to ask you the question that I ask everybody that comes onto this podcast. And people say, "Oh, you always ask the same question." And it's like, yes, I do, but we always get different answers, which is a really good thing because do you know what? Humans are all unique, and this is something that everybody can take away from this, especially when it comes to marketing. We all have a different story, and that's the thing that can help us to separate our business from other people's. So, Paul, what is your money story?
My money story is it's a great question, first of all, and I've taken a little bit of time to reflect upon it because it wasn't really obvious to me what's my money story, because it's not an everyday question. I feel, but it's great to be asked it as well. So my money story, I think everyone's money story starts when they're growing up, in terms of our relationship to money and how our parents have money or don't have money and how they use money as well. So I think we learn a lot from the people around us. So I was lucky enough to grow up in quite a financially secure household in kind of late 70s, 80s. My dad was a GP. He worked really hard himself to become a GP. He came from more of a working class background, and he wanted more for himself, and for his family going forward. So he really earned the profession of being a GP. But with that, as I say, I was lucky enough to not worry about money growing up. I think it was when I went to university, really. So I went to university in Northampton. I kind of moved there.
Okay.
And when you're a student, you kind of you go to student life basically. So it's maybe coming from an upbringing which was a little bit kind of mollycoddled, I can say that, to just being a little bit more vulnerable and learning about the world as a student because you've not got the money, kind of thing. And I think this is where the change happened in terms of a relationship with money. You start to learn more about it, don't you? When you don't have it, I feel.
I did that. So I went to university and I had no money, and I'd paid my tuition and paid my like my rent for my halls and all that. And then I had like zero money left. So I went and got a job and then went to Freshers Fair and signed up for all of the credit cards, all of the loans. And
Yep.
that's what this book's about. So
Yep.
like, yeah, very much kind of screwed myself over in the early days of uni by taking on loads and loads and loads of debt. But it's not always the same for everybody. But yeah, I think when you get shoved out into the big wide world, and we don't learn enough about money at a young age. Especially, I'm very, very similar to you. I grew up in quite a privileged, kind of fairly middle class background. We had 2 cars, which was, almost unheard of.
Yep.
My parents worked, like one worked in Basingstoke and one worked in Southampton. So, and we lived in a village, so we had no train lines or anything like that. So they had to have 2 cars. So I know how that feels. So at uni, how did that feel for you when you were out there on your own, managing your money and learning about it?
It felt, well, I need to think back now, Maddie. It felt like,
It's only a couple of years ago, all right?
yeah, it's only a few years ago. It was, you feel a bit more vulnerable, I guess, by not having the money, or it's a safety kind of thing, isn't it? Or kind of going back to pretty gutty student houses that we lived in at the time, and being in a different environment. There's a lot going on, I think, at university. In terms of a change of life. You kind of, I remember going to the shop and you'd buy like 4 cans of beer and a loaf of bread kind of thing and some pasta. And, that's the kind of staple diet. But that was okay when you're kind of 18, 19.
I mean, the beer was the priority, right?
Well, this is it. Absolutely, yeah. So what do you spend your money on? I mean, that's another learning curve, isn't it? When you do have some money, you've got other things to pay for. So, I mean, obviously after university, I spent a couple of years not in a job. So I graduated and I didn't really have a job. I kind of ended up working in a record shop, which I have to say was my best job ever. Working in a record, I'd love to do that now.
I did that as well, like I did my work experience in a record shop and it was so much fun.
It was great. Yeah, I liked doing that. Then I moved to Manchester. So I'm originally from Lincolnshire, but there wasn't really particularly any opportunities, job opportunities there. So I thought I'd move to the city, and I moved to Manchester. And at the time, as I say, the internet was just starting up. So I fell into that and I managed to get a job. But the salaries in terms of digital marketing salaries were pretty low compared to what they are today, because it was an unproven channel. There was quite a few new openings around, but the salaries weren't there. So I always found I was jumping around in job to job in terms of just to get a pay rise, basically, because you move somewhere else, the rent goes up, or eventually you want to buy a house or you get a car. There's always extra outgoings all of the time. So I didn't really stay in a position for more than 18 months or so. And I do know that a lot of people in digital marketing do move around in their jobs as well. But I moved around for money. I kind of had this mentality, and it's something my dad said as well, about chasing money, which I've only kind of realized was a bit of a scarcity mindset as well, kind of chasing money in order to survive. But at the time, I'm sure we were only 2 months away from kind of zero, not having any money. If you lose your job, you've got to get a new one pretty soon. And I was made redundant about 5 times in my corporate career.
Oh, wow.
As well, which was difficult. It was difficult to deal with. Each one was a bit easier, but there's also rejection comes from that as well. But it's about seeing if anyone's listening to this or watching this and you've been made redundant for the first time, see it as an opportunity, not as being rejected. That's the thing that I learned. But it's just in terms of the month to month living on the salary we were on. So at the time now, I was had a girlfriend at the time, and we had a daughter together as well. So I was again kind of moving to get another job to kind of earn more for the new family that we had. But when we were made redundant, it's a scary thing. You kind of see how people can end up on the streets and homeless, because you're only a few months from kind of losing everything sometimes.
And they say, do you know what? That's a really, really poignant thing to say. Like I used to have a flat in quite a kind of studenty area of Southampton, and there were like 5 homeless people who were they were the same homeless people who just basically
Hmm.
like hung around like outside the pub that I used to drink in, and they'd be outside like, and I had an alleyway. That went to my house, so they used to like that alleyway for reasons we don't talk about, because
Yep.
occasionally I had to clear up a poo and stuff, and it's horrible. But I did actually one time like get talking to them, because first of all I was like, please can you stop pooing in my alleyway, because every time I have to go down there I have to smell your shit, which is really not very nice.
Yeah.
But
Well.
we had a conversation about why they were all homeless, and it made me see them in a completely different light.
Yeah.
One guy had been discharged from the army, and it was dishonorably discharged because he'd done something which was something to do with his mental health. So it wasn't like he'd stolen anything or done something really bad. He just had a mental health blip, and they discharged him, and then he ended
Yeah.
up homeless because his parents wouldn't take him back. And it was like, we are very close to that at any given point. Even if you're running a successful business, like, you have to think of like that future planning. And I guess that is where marketing comes in to a certain extent as well, because
Yeah.
we need to know how we're planning our money, and that does kind of reflect where the marketing is. But it is really interesting, and we are very close to that at any point. This is why planning for the future really does help, and having that emergency fund.
Very much so.
I
Yeah. Yeah.
I was made redundant, and I had 3 months worth of money, and I said to my husband, like, I'm going to run a business. And he said, you've got 3 months, because that's all the money you've got, and if it doesn't work you have to find a new job. And I'm now like 10 years down the line, and I haven't gone back to work, so like I feel
Amazing.
like it's kind of worked.
Yeah.
um
Absolutely. That's wonderful.
but being made redundant is a really scary and hard thing,
It
especially
is.
multiple
Yeah.
times, like.
Yeah, I think with redundancy. So I remember, so there's one time where, I mean, most of the times I was made redundant just before I was being employed for 2 years. So you don't qualify for any redundancy pay
Yeah.
until after 2 years. So sometimes you think it's a bit of a strategic move by some businesses.
So
But to be
sometimes.
well, I'm a nice and polite guy. So there's one time I was made redundant and I got a payoff. I got £10,000.
Mm.
Uh, Very good. And I remember being in the Trafford Centre, so up here in Manchester, a big shopping centre.
I love the Trafford Centre. It's where I used to spend
Yeah.
all my money when I lived up that way.
Right, okay, absolutely, and I'm sure it's quite easy to do so. But I remember being in the Trafford Centre, and I knew I had £10,000 or spending power. I'm not frivolous, so I'm not going to spend 10
Mm.
grand in the Trafford Centre. But I remember not buying anything. So this might be a typical fella kind of thing,
Yeah.
kind of thinking like there's nothing worth buying here. But it's just the contrast, because I've been in the Trafford Centre when I've hardly got any money, or I was deep in my overdraft. And then I've been in exactly the same place, but with the spending power, But I'm exactly the same person. It's just the spending power there, isn't it? So I remember
Yeah.
being asked a few years ago as well, when I went on a coaching program. I'm sure you know it, One to Many with Lisa Johnson,
Yeah.
and she asked about your money story as well, and you get to complete the sentence, "Money is." And lots of people then have a different descriptor word
Mm.
in terms of what money is to them. So for me, money is an enabler, basically.
I like
So
that.
money just enables you to be able to do things. And the more money you've got, the bigger things you can do, should you wish to use your money in that way. So for me, money isn't, it's not evil. It's not the root of all bad things, which it is for some people. For me, it's just an enabler. So it's more of a practical thing. And I think I've learned this just through that money story journey, of being a bit of a roller coaster ride, of being in a position where I'm quite safe with money growing up. I don't need to worry about it, through to then kind of having more of a realization of student life or having your first home. I remember being really surprised you had to pay for water. I mean, that sounds ridiculous in terms of water out the tap.
Yeah.
having a water bill. I know that's quite
Yeah.
naive looking back nowadays. But then kind of starting to earn money, having a career, then being made redundant and feeling you a couple of months of kind of losing everything, through to having some redundancy kind of money as well. So you've got some spending power, through to actually earning some money as well through my career as well. So it's a bit of a up and down thing. But what I've kind of honed in on, I guess, is that I'm exactly the same person. It's just the money. So when you've got money, you're just able to do things. So I think that's the core of my money story. That realization.
Yeah. I love that actually, because I've always thought the same. It's like when you said that question, like what is money? Money is the first word that came to my mind was freedom.
Yeah,
So I've always found that money is the thing that helps me to be the person who I am. It helps me to be free. It helps me to be happy. It doesn't buy happiness. It doesn't
yeah,
buy I mean, yes, it buys things which can make you slightly happier. But I have been really, really, really well off and felt like shit, and I've had no money and been the most happy person in the world.
this is it.
So I don't think that money does, it doesn't buy happiness, but it enables the happiness to exist better. So
It
I
does.
really like
Agreed.
that.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's
absolutely. Yes. Yeah, I think
really
something else with my
interesting.
money story, our relationship with money, came when I left the corporate world and set up my own business. And this is something I wasn't aware of at all until it happened. Was mindset around money, and maybe
Yeah,
it's about relationship with money as well. But in terms of charging people, in terms of people investing and buying things from me, invoicing people, which is pretty important in your business.
yeah.
But for some reason, I found it hard to kind of put like full price on things, or charge people in terms of what it's worth. As
Mm,
well. So one of the first things I did, because I came out of the corporate world, I in terms of marketing, I specialized in a subject called SEO, which I know you know a little bit about. So search engine
I know
optimization.
loads
I was
about
working with.
SEO. Like, it's my do you know what though? Like I'm a different type of SEOer,
Yeah,
I guess. So for me, my SEO is all about social media SEO.
yeah, yeah,
And I would say that I am somewhat of an expert in social media SEO, but
yes.
like don't talk to me about Google or analytics or any of those things. I'm like, don't even look at the SEO on my website. It's kind of embarrassing. But I know it needs to be there. So yeah, it is
Well,
important.
I love that. I love it. Yeah, SEO in terms of social SEO, absolutely. I'd say I'm a bit of a different SEO as well because I have more of a holistic view of SEO. So it's actually involved across all of your marketing, and
Yeah.
it's not just confined to Google or search engines. So, but in terms of the first thing I did, because I kind of coming out of corporate and into my own business, so I did a website audit for somebody. And I charged them £150, but I
Right.
used exactly the same template as what I'd used in corporate. I already had the template, so I just created it again. But working with big corporate businesses, exactly the same audit was charged £2,000.
Right.
So that was also an interesting thing as well about realization of money in terms of you've got exactly the same asset that you're selling. You've got a big corporate who have got money to spend left, right, and centre, and £2,000 is nothing to them on a website audit.
Yeah.
Whereas, my first client who's got their own business, maybe they're just starting out, they wouldn't spend £2,000. So you've got to lower the price of what I'm offering, or tailor it. Really, that's what I should have
Yeah.
done. But it's just interesting in terms of you've got the same thing, but you've got different, maybe the different kind of viewpoint and how much it's worth to the business.
Yeah, and I think that's interesting as well. But something you said there made me think like it's your clients wouldn't pay that. You're assuming they wouldn't pay that. They might
Hmm.
do.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I have been super guilty over the years of putting prices out there and being like, oh, no one's going to pay that. So like, I can't charge that much for something. Like I launched a new course in January called Amplify Your Influence, which is all about helping people to get their messaging, their strategy, their like how they're showing up in the world, their pricing, their offer suite, like all of those kinds of things. And I was comparing myself. It's like funny you mentioned Lisa Johnson earlier. I was comparing myself to her and thinking like, she's like 7 years ahead of me in her business journey, and people pay her $2,000. So no one's going to pay me that much money for what I'm offering. So I'll put it out there. I'll put it out there at 999 and see how it goes.
Yeah.
And every single person who came through that course was like, Maddie, you're fucking ridiculous. This is such a low price for this. Like, it should be way more. Like,
Sure.
But then you've got the thing with pricing is it's like you've got how much is somebody prepared to pay for? How do you see yourself? But also it's all relative, isn't it? It's like how much do you want to charge for something? And it's having the confidence to go out there and be like, do you know what? These are my prices. Like I never thought that somebody would pay me $3,000 for a 1-to-1. But they do. And I'm like, okay. 7 years ago when I first started my business, coming up to 8 years now, I used to charge for my 1-to-ones on a monthly retainer 59 quid.
Right,
And I look
sure.
back at it and go,
Yeah. Yeah, well, do you think that's a learning
isn't it?
curve as well, though, in
Yeah.
terms of you maybe when pricing is new to you as a business owner, it's a bit of a test and learn mentality as well.
Yeah.
I think there's a bit of mindset for some of us in terms of not charging what we're worth, but also just testing the market as well to get the right price point.
I hate that though, like charge your worth. I mean, like there's nothing in business that winds me up more, because it's not about charging what you're worth. I think that, I could be worth so much more money, but I don't charge it because the way that my pricing works is I am very analytical when it comes to my audience. Like I never assume what they're going to pay. I ask them how comfortable they are with my pricing. So despite the fact that I know that the course that I run with my Amplify Your Influence is probably worth $2,000-3,000, I'm never going to charge it at that, because for me, I want to make it accessible. Financial accessibility is really important to me. And I would rather help 100 people at £1,000 than 5 people at 2, So
Sure. Yes.
that charging your worth thing, like it's an interesting thing, because there is such a thing as, money confidence. And being more confident in your pricing, knowing how much you're going to charge, but also what feels right. So, for the last year, my membership's been £10 a month, and I've recently put it up to 20. It's like 100% increase. And I'm like, oh, that feels really uncomfortable. It feels really disgusting. And then I think about the fact that it's £20, and that's not very much for all of the value that I deliver within that membership. And it could be, I've been in memberships that are like 2 or 3 times the price of that, and I've still stayed because you get the value. But it's just it's an interesting thing, isn't it?
It is an interesting thing. And I think that's unique to everyone as well. But so, definitely in the coaching world, there's you can go after being like a high ticket coach, as the term is, the terminology.
I'm a low ticket coach, and I'm totally cool with that.
Sure, yeah. But I think my point in terms of come back to your uniqueness is maybe we're quite similar here, because I'm certainly quite nurturing to the people I work with. So I've got some reviews, and they say Paul made me feel really comfortable and cared for, which means more to me than anything else. So it's about looking after people, taking it slow as well, because, as I say, in terms of the way I help people, I find that people are quite confused. They might be quite stressed because of that confusion. And I don't want anyone to be stressed. I was stressed and confused when I first went into marketing and working out this SEO stuff and social media when it first came in. I've been through the pain barrier of kind of working it all out. So I know what that feels like, and I don't want anyone else to kind of go through that. So that's part of my mission and values. It's more to look after people and kind of nurture people. But doing that, you tend to work with people who are more are more comfortable in terms of a lower price point, because maybe that's just where they're at as well in their journey. So it's about meeting people where they're at. So whether they want to come into your membership or my membership, or it's more of a low price membership rather than just offering like a really high ticket offer. I mean, hopefully people will get there. They can go through a membership and maybe get a few guides for £90-20 in terms of their learning, but then being able to actually invest later on, it may be a higher ticket. I don't like that term myself, higher ticket, but just investing more in themselves and in their business, because they see the progress. They see that kind of nurturing journey that they're on.
Yeah, and I think when you're pricing as well, I think it's often quite easy to fall into that trap of like, I've been where my clients are, and I know what I could afford when I was there. And it's also about working out what people's priorities are and not shaming them. So I saw a TikTok video the other day about this girl who was being massively shamed because she just booked a £3,000 holiday and she's in loads of debt. And these people were coming at her like, how dare you go and book a holiday for £3,000 when you're in so much debt? That's so irresponsible. It's like, but is it though? It's her money. Like, if she's servicing those debts and she's comfortable paying those debts, why should she not go and spend £3,000 on a holiday? And it's like the people who have £3,000 to spend on a holiday, but they don't have £3,000 to spend on a course. It's just about people's different priorities, and nobody should be shamed for, if they don't have that money to spend on themselves. It might be that actually that's a confidence issue, and they might not have the confidence in themselves that if they invest that money, that they're going to succeed. Whereas, everybody knows if you go and spend £3,000 on a holiday, you're probably going to get the results that you want. So that's where, again, it's about the marketing message, and it's about not necessarily how much you price it at. It's about how you're delivering that message. What's the transformation? And if people aren't buying at a specific price point, it might not be that it's the wrong price point. It might be how you're getting those people into your world. And as a marketing person,
very much so. I mean, perhaps part of it as well is just the other person's confidence in themselves to be able to apply themselves, for 8 weeks, if the course is 8 weeks or 12 weeks, to actually do the work themselves. So I think that's about self-belief. So I talk a lot about self-belief and resilience in business, which are so underrated. I think they're so important to have the self-belief. So you can invest in a course, but and you can have the best coach as well. But ultimately, it's up to yourself to apply yourself. To pay attention and implement in order to get the results. So it's having that self-belief yourself to actually being able to carry that through.
I love that, and actually with my program, I do it. It's not done for you, and it's not. You have to go off and do it yourself. We kind of do it together while we're on the calls, so that, because I know a lot of my guys, they're neurodivergent, they've got ADHD, they're dyslexic, they struggle with task paralysis and actually the motivation to do it. So if they do it while I'm with them, it's almost like a body doubling thing as well. So
I can see how that helps.
We take, like, the course is kind of broken down, so it's like I'll teach them something and then I'll give them like 10-15 minutes to actually go away and work on that thing, and then we'll come back and we'll talk about the thing, and they find it so interesting, and it's really, really useful because people actually get the stuff done, and they actually leave going, oh, I've actually achieved something today, and I didn't have to go away and do homework or do it on my own. So but it's taken me a long time to kind of realize the value in helping people to do that. And I don't think I always learn things on these podcasts. I don't think I necessarily articulate that value as much as I should do. So thank you for that, because I've now gone, actually.
Well, I think that is about different ways of learning, isn't it? Or as a business owner, being aware that people learn in different ways. So there's a lot of video courses out there. I have video courses myself, or one-to-one Zoom sessions for up to an hour. A lot of people find it quite exhausting to be on a Zoom call for over an hour or so. So it's just finding new ways of being able to deliver courses or programs or working with people online, which is an area I'm really interested in, because I don't know if you touched upon it beforehand when you were introducing me in terms of AI. So I've recently gained a CPD in AI, so I could be accredited
Oh, I
as an
love that.
AI mentor. But I'm really interested in that type of technology. So that
Yeah.
technology for the good in terms of learning. So it just opens up different ways of maybe reaching other people or new ways of learning, which I think is really important.
I really love that because I think AI AI is here to stay, and it is very much something that we can use to help us in our marketing. So I I use ChatGPT
Yeah,
to formulate my plans, my like, if I'm launching something new, I will like look for the angle and I will like I'll talk into it or I'll type it or I'll voice note or whatever, and I'll be like, right, so what's my strategy? What's my structure here? So I needed to plan out my Amplify Your Influence course. But I knew that all of the information was in my head. So
yeah,
I'm like, right, I need to do a 12-week course and I want to teach people this, 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 and this. And I want the end outcome for my clients to be this. What
yeah,
do I need to teach them? So it broke it down into all the modules. And I'm like, brilliant, fantastic. Right. So I just went away and like I didn't use their content. I used their titles and I was like, right, okay, well,
mm,
I know how to
yeah,
teach people about values. I know how to teach people about their offer strategies and their launch strategies and all of these things. So I just went away and I took the titles and I did a module on each thing.
yeah.
Having a neurodivergent brain, I think if I'd have just tried to do that on my own, I'd have been like, I'm so overwhelmed. And I think that overwhelm is something that when you're neurodivergent, I think overwhelm is sometimes the thing. It's the overwhelm and the procrastinating that are the two things that you're like, you're not making enough money because you're not sure of who you are, what you do, what you sell, what your messaging is, and how you're actually showing up in the world. But when you've got that clarity, AI can really, really help you to get that together, as long as you're not using it to make posts. Because, I am very much like we do a thing now on my course. It's called ChatGPT Treasure Hunt, where like I actually get
Uh-huh.
all of the guys to go off, and they've got 10 minutes to go and find a ChatGPT post and post it back in the group, so that we
Right.
can start recognizing like what the key thing like. Here's the truth.
Yes.
No fluff, no BS. Like just like all this fluff. It's like, ugh, no. It's like no fluff, no BS. Like here's the truth, and all of these like really really key trigger words that come with ChatGPT, um, and we kind of sort it out. But I think one of the things that people don't know enough about, and I'm sure you know plenty about, so I'm going to ask you about it. Um, Other AI, people just think, oh, AI is ChatGPT, and it's really not, is it? There's so many other things that you can use in your marketing, and I know nothing about any of these. So, like, what can you tell us?
Well, you're so right to say that. First of
Mm,
all, in terms of there's much more than ChatGPT. I think ChatGPT is the Swiss Army knife
mm,
of AI tools. If you know how to use it, you know.
right.
So it was really interesting what you were saying about using ChatGPT, and a lot of people do, and people are using it for writing social media posts or blog posts, as you alluded to there. Um, and you can spot the ones which have been generated by ChatGPT. Absolutely, it's a good treasure hunt. I love
Yeah,
that idea.
it's
Because
fun.
those,
It's
those
quite
posts
fun.
use,
Like,
yeah, those posts probably say unlock or unleash those kind
yeah,
of terms all of the time. Um, but here's the thing. I mean, you can definitely
that's another one.
train.
Here's the thing.
Yeah, here's the thing. Yeah, well, that's called a bucket brigade in copywriting. So I've been using
Mm,
those for many years.
yeah.
You can train ChatGPT to eliminate all of those terms, etc.
Yes.
You can spend a lot of time training ChatGPT to create content
Yes.
for somebody that really sounds like yourself. And we're not going to. This is another a topic for debate, because the content that comes out is generated by ChatGPT, but it absolutely has the person behind them,
Yes.
behind the content, because they've spent the time to articulate
Mm,
what needs to be generated, etc. But in terms of other tools, well, beyond ChatGPT, well, there's also Google Gemini as well, and there's another tool called Claude. So they're all fairly similar. So they're what we'll
yeah.
call LLMs, which are large language models. and you use them. This is similar to ChatGPT, so it's a bit of a ChatGPT a kind of war going on, I guess, in terms of who's going to be the dominant platform. With Google Gemini, you can see the adverts where it's integrated into Google phones nowadays. There's also Claude as well, which is a great tool. It's about using ChatGPT, Google Gemini, and Claude, put the same prompt in, ask it for something, and just start to see the difference between what each one is good at, basically. Ask it to create a poem about money mindset,
I
for
love
instance.
that. I got a poem actually. Like I used it the other day because I was thinking about weirdly, this sounds really morbid, right? It sounds really morbid, but like I'm very, very specific. I've got a child who's about to come into I can hear them. No, they're going. It's all good. Half term.
Right.
But yeah, so I it's very morbid to think of this, but like I have got a very unique plan for my funeral because I when I die I want it to be really cool. So I got it to write me a poem about my funeral. Oh, thank you very much. I've got some posts. Thank you, postman. Like, lovely.
Amazing.
Right.
Good stuff.
Very nice. Like,
very efficient.
That was good. I mean, I think she saw that I was doing something. Go away. So I think for things like that, and I got this most amazing poem. Do you know the "Do Not Stand at My Grave and Weep"? That one.
Yeah.
I got it to change it into a Maddie version, and ChatGPT knows me so well that I've now got a Maddified version of "Do Not Stand at My Grave and Weep," which is all about visibility, and it's hilarious and it's really good. So I'm like, yeah, that's totally what I'm getting read at my funeral. Strange.
Well, it's nice to have these things in place. That gives some contentness, perhaps.
Oh yeah, it just means that if I die, I know that my funeral is going to be the best party in the world, and everyone's going to have so much fun because I've got instructions there. It's like no black. Everyone has to wear rainbow themed clothes.
Okay, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Have that influence, definitely. Should we go back to AI tools?
Yeah, sorry, I got distracted.
So yeah, there's a great AI tool, maybe a little bit more advanced, but it's called Julius AI. And you mentioned earlier that in terms of SEO, you're not really SEO to look at data or look at Google Analytics and understand what's going on your website. So if you can use Julius, if you are using Google Analytics, you can download a report from Google Analytics. Yeah, so any of the reports. So some of them say this is how much traffic you've got, but maybe you want to find out, well, where's the traffic coming from, and what days is it coming in on? Is it coming from social media, and then what channels is it coming from on social media? How can I use all these numbers and make sense of it, Paul, in terms of gaining more of a strategy? So you can actually download a report from Google Analytics and then upload it. I know we've got some technical words here, but then add it into Julius AI, and it will have a chat with your data. It will understand the data, and then you can just type in terms of asking a question like you do with ChatGPT, and it will give you the information in terms of, well, this is what's happening, Maddie, in terms of your website. This is when people are coming in the most. These are the social channels which are most popular for you. And then you can say, well, so what that it's so popular? What does that actually mean in terms of how can I change my strategy? What do I need to do in the next month to take advantage of these numbers? So you can gain more of a practical insight in terms of the data, which is massive. Because as I say, I worked in big corporates and they had big data science teams, and lots of people are really talented at this. It's a highly specialized area. So being able to understand data, I think, really opens up opportunities for entrepreneurs who obviously we don't have data science teams. Interpreting data is quite an advanced thing, as I say, but being able to use a tool like Julius, it just brings that ability to understand data, as it were, in your own business to entrepreneurs or solopreneurs. Of course, you need somebody to introduce you to that tool and then how to use it. And I am looking to do an AI readiness workshop as well, perhaps in a few months' time, but I'm working on that at the moment, just to introduce more tools rather than ChatGPT. Absolutely.
Well, definitely let me know when that is, because I think all of the people in my membership would absolutely love that. But I think we are running out of time, which is really annoying because I was really enjoying that chat. But Paul, how do people find you? Where's the best place to connect?
The best place to connect is on Facebook. Just seek me out on my personal profile there, or you can find me on Instagram, which is at Coach Paul Culshaw. You can find my website at paulculshaw.com as well, and you'll see that I'm also partnered on my website with Lisa Johnson's Business Success Company there as well. So I also have a business success company website as well. But yeah, if you kind of seek me out on those channels, get in touch. I'm here to help. Happy to have a chat.
Fabulous. Well, it's been absolutely lovely to have you on, Paul. Thank you so much for today. If anybody is listening to this who hasn't subscribed to the podcast, hit the subscribe button, leave us a review, and share with your friends. If you're not following me, it's Maddie Alexander-Grout on LinkedIn, Maddie Talks Money on Instagram, Maddie with a Y, and Mad About Money Official. And if you haven't downloaded the brand new Mad About Money app yet, head to one of my links in my bios. You will find it anywhere there, and it's a free platform that will help you with your money and your business. And of course, you can sign up to Invisible to Influential, which is my amazing membership, which helps you with your business, with your brain, and basically showing up as your unique, authentic self. So I'm Maddie Alexander-Grout, and thank you so much for listening. We will see you next time.